must think of me. Sometimes it's hard to breathe from all this guilt inside of me. Speed up when you leave. How did it get to this? How did it get to this? Her name's on my tongue and you tasted it. How did it get to this? How did we get to this? Now we're back at it, now we're back at it. Can't let this go, can't let this go. Now we're back at it, now we're back at it. I needed you the most and you're not around. Now we're back at it, now we're back at it. Can't let this go, can't let this go. Now we're back at it, now we're back at it. I needed you the most and you're not around. You're not around. Now we're back at it, now we're back at it. Can't let this go, can't let this go. Now we're back at it, now we're back at it. I needed you the most and you're not around. Now we're back at it, now we're back at it. Can't let this go, but you need to know. Now we're back at it, now we're back at it. I needed you the most and you're not around. And you're not around. And you let me down.
This is KBCC 89.5 FM, Tracy, California, Peace and Justice Network of San Joaquin.
This is a production for the voice of San Joaquin.
Porque nos vamos a enlazar
Con el mero, el gallo de Zacatecas.
That's right, homeboy.
el de Poyá.
You got it, homeboy. Island boy.
Dicen que soy poderoso, yo solo soy su amigo. No hace falta averiguar, saben a qué me dedico. Me gusta vivir muy bien, aunque me siga el peligro. Nosotros somos los Tucanes de Tijuana y nos vamos directamente. Adelante, échale, primo.
Hay que hacer ruido para que se mire la polvadera. Ahí le va, ahí le va. Mi gente le gusta la neta. Escuche en su carro, en su avioneta. Si prefiere mejor en bicicleta o en casa de su suegra Petra. Sin pelos en la lengua. Sin pelos en la lengua. Sin pelos en la lengua. Se escucha la neta. Hay que hacer ruido. Sin pelos en la lengua. Hay que hacer ruido. Sin pelos en la lengua. Para que se viera la polvadera. Sin pelos en la lengua. Se escucha la neta. Es la neta. Una producción del DJ Mix Mix para el nuevo Imperio Enterprises. Radializando. Sin pelos en la lengua. Sin pelos en la lengua. Es la neta. Sin pelos en la lengua. Sin pelos en la lengua. El gallo, el gallo, el gallo, el gallo. Sin pelos en la lengua. Se escucha la neta. Hay que hacer ruido. Sin pelos en la lengua. Hay que hacer ruido. Sin pelos en la lengua. Para que se viera la polvadera. Sin pelos en la lengua. Se escucha la neta. Es la neta. Una producción del DJ Mix Mix.
Can you hear?
Para el nuevo Imperio.
Okay.
And you are listening to your community radio station, tvosj.org. And now it is time for
Behind the Art Scene with Joy Neese on the Voice of Stockton. And today I have two guests. I have Patricia Mayorga. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
And I have Devina Cologne. Thank you for coming.
Hi.
And so we're just going to be talking about their relationship to the arts and what's new, what's going on with them. Patricia, you used to teach at Delta College?
Yes, I volunteered myself there, and I'm still there in the English department, and I work closely with the Writers Guild and in the English department, and I also tutor students that are trying to get their works published. So I meet with them and I help them with editing and suggestions on their books. I've done that with several students, and one actually did have one published, and another one's on the way of having another one published.
And your other thing, you do a magazine?
Yes, I'm the editor-in-chief to Poets Espresso Review. Poets Espresso Review transformed over the years. It's been in operation about 15 years. It was originally founded by Nikki Quismondo and Donald Anderson, and I was part of that team working with them through Poets on the Roof. I had established a poetry group that we had about 7 members, and we met every month, usually twice a month, at my home. And then we also did events at Delta College and at local bookstores. And Donald started that with Nikki, and it just kind of grew. And then Donald ventured out to do other projects, and handed it over to myself and Stephen Wilson.
Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Okay.
Devina, you're a student. Can you tell us the name of the school?
It's called Seton Hill University. It's a small liberal arts college in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, and it's about an hour east from Pittsburgh. So that gives that helps with the better location of the school. I'm going there for art therapy. I just completed my 3rd year of undergrad, and I love every minute of it. I knew it was the right thing for me when I took my first art therapy class. It was called Creative Connections, and it was a general expressive arts therapy course. But like once I dabbled into the ideas of art therapy, the basic ideas, like I knew it was for me.
So how did you choose that college? Or?
Basically just going through College Board, seeing if there was a bachelor's form of art therapy around, or else I would have to double major in art and psychology. Luckily, I was able to find a few schools. One that stood out to me was Seton Hill because of not only their beautiful campus, it's surrounded by trees, and the school has a very small school field, so I knew I would get one-on-one time with teachers.
So where did you take your first art therapy course?
At the school, at Seton Hill.
Oh, at Seton Hill.
Yeah.
Okay.
And actually the first time I've been there was actually orientation, so I didn't know about the actual field, but I got to spend time with the art therapy teachers as well as the other studio art professors, and everyone was so nice. And I just knew I was in kind of the right place for that kind of education.
So when you were here in Stockton, what kind of led you to that think about art therapy? Or
it started in sophomore year of high school. I've been in the art since like the 8th grade. Like I knew it was something I wanted to continue for the rest of my life, but I wanted to do more than just exhibit work. Throughout high school, I was involved in a lot of community service groups, one of them being Key Club. And I continued that throughout high school, and I am continuing my extracurriculars like that in college. So I knew I wanted to help others in some sort of way. I just didn't know how. And I was at first going to start just with social work. But then my mother and I kept researching, and we ended up finding art therapy during our research. So it was just the basic definition. At the time, I didn't know exactly what it was, but just reading its basic, I guess, Google definition, I knew it was like I had to be open to something like this, something that was different. And especially even though like it's something I haven't even heard of before. So
what types of things, mediums do you use in art therapy?
A wide range. It really just depends on the group you're working with. Because I guess, for example, for kids that are on the spectrum, they're very sensory sensitive, so not every medium is going to be the best medium, but that's just for an example. For me, finding kind of that calm space, I always gravitate toward watercolor because it tests on my patience, but those are just a couple examples.
So my husband actually brought up a good point. Do you ever use poetry or writing?
I did at first when I just started my art therapy courses, not anymore so recently, but you can incorporate words when you're doing facilitation art as well as art therapy sessions, because it allows both sides of the brain to activate when you're starting the facilitation.
Okay.
So the writing exercises can usually be prompts. Usually that's led by some sort of visualizations, or you can write poetry. It's really open and really up to the choice of the participant if they want to do writing course as like an intro to the actual art making process.
Okay. All right. So now you can. Why don't you tell us more about the Poets Espresso Review? I write poetry. Could I submit some poetry?
Yes. Our poets come from all over the globe. It originally started with local poets, then it expanded across the United States, and then I took it globally about 5 years ago. So we actually have poets that come from all corners of the world, from India to China to Buenos Aires to the United Kingdom, Canada, London, Iran, all over Canada. So our writers come from everywhere. And of course, locally, Stockton and Modesto, Manteca, local California, Southern California. So we reach all the way across the United States. And yes, you could submit to Poets Espresso Review. What makes my magazine unique, there are several things, but one in particular is that we do not charge for a submission fee. And I also do not limit writers on their words. I do, I suggest don't give me something that's, 2,000 words, but I don't limit. And then I figure out if it's worthy enough to be in the magazine. I figure out the layout where I can fit them in. Because I do have work from China, I do include Chinese language in it as well, because the author has a translator, so I want him to be able to see his works in Chinese.
So how often does this come out?
It comes out 3 times a year, and the themes, this is what it looks like. Okay, this is our most recent book. It's A Yellow Brick Road. The cover is by an artist in San Jose. His name is Alan Field Witzel. And then the back cover is from our local artist, which is Robert Austin. And so we're not just poetry, we're also art driven. And if you wanted to submit, then you submit to me through Gmail, and I require at least a 4 to 6 line bio, and if you feel comfortable, a recent photo to be included in the bio section of our magazine. As you see, I have a bio section. It's quite large, and I have pictures of our writers and a little bit how to contact them.
So does each poem have an illustration?
Yes, it does. Now, each of the illustrations are not always done by artists. In this book, there are some that are by artists, by Anne Privateer, who is from Davis. This one in particular, the name of her artwork is called Suffy and I Falling in Love. And she's a local artist from Davis. And I also have some here from Caroline Henry, who is also she's from Stockton. So her artwork is also depicted in several of these magazines. And however, many of the pieces come from out of state, Pennsylvania, and different authors from there, they send in their work. The other artwork, what I do is when I'm working on the layout, I try to find artwork that will match the poem, that will just kind of add some aesthetics to the poem. Here is one in particular. This is by Caroline Henry. So this is an actual ink drawing of hers. Now this one is a graphic design that I got off of public domain, and this particular picture will tie in well with this poem. So it just brings the poem to life. And a lot of the authors all like that.
So poets and artists, they just email their information? Or?
Yes, they email it to our email address, which is poetsespressoreview@gmail.com, and they send it to me with as an attachment, or even in the body of their email. Just get it emailed to me. But I also take hard copy, the old snail mail.
Okay.
I take that and then I just type them in. So because there are a few writers that do not use the technology, and I
Right.
do not want to limit,
Sure.
writers. I want to be inclusive.
So when do you usually request? You said it comes out 3 times a year. So
Yes, I just had this one published. This was our May issue, and it was just published. And so now I am already letting people know, get your work to me by mid-August,
Yeah.
preferably by the 1st of August, but I'm really flexible. And because I am retired, I do have a little bit more time to be flexible. And they submit it. I email them. I make sure I have phone contact numbers, and I require that they also give me their addresses. The nice thing about our magazine, another nice thing I should say, is that each contributor, artist and poets, they do receive a complimentary issue
Okay.
called a contributor's issue for being part of our poetry family. I call us a family.
So do you require that they've been published before, or any kind of requirements? Or?
No, actually, that's what was nice about this. I have a lot of our writers started with me over 10 years ago. I was their first editor. Their first publication was in our magazine, and I would work with them over phone, sometimes over FaceTime and things of that nature, to help them develop as a writer. And another way to promote people's creativity, to expand. And we are eco-friendly. We are connected with Delta College, and because I do help in the Writers Guild, I'm part of that program, that club. We are provided their access to their print shop.
Okay.
So they do the printing for me, and
How many copies do you print?
I usually print 150 because I allow people the writers, if they want to buy extra, they tell me ahead of time, because we are eco-friendly. I don't want to overprint, and I don't want to underprint.
So how much are they?
They are, each magazine, as if you were to buy one today, is $4.
Okay.
But for the contributors, it comes out a little bit more because I have to charge for mailing fees.
Sure.
So it's $4.75 for in the United States. For out of country, it's $6.50 an issue for an extra issue.
So that's just a wonderful opportunity. I look forward to. I'll send you some of my stuff. That'd be great. So Devina, you said you have one more. I think you said one more semester.
I have one more semester.
So do you know what you're going to be doing in your final semester? Or?
I know that I'll be participating in field work. It's required in that final senior year to dive into art therapy practices. Not me doing the art therapy, but more of like shadowing and interning, because of how complex art therapy is. It's very, very important that you gain as much experience as you can, even before graduate school, because you do that stuff too in graduate school. But of how important it is to gain that much experience and to have that with multiple people, with multiple types of populations and groups. For me, next semester, I will be working in a behavioral health center. I will be shadowing, interning at that facility, and it's for drug and alcohol recovery. I will be working alongside another art therapist. She showed me her art room, and it's very close-knit. I want to say it's about maybe around 10 people in a room, so not too big of a group, but that's something I'm looking forward to for this semester, as well as finishing up my last course for my Spanish minor, and taking care of just the last few liberal art courses that I need to finish.
So after you graduate, what do you have planned?
Graduate school, another 3 years of school that I need to take care of. But as an option, for someone that doesn't want to go to grad school in my position, it's supposed to be equivalent to a psychology BA. So I know one graduate, she is an occupational counselor. I could be a teacher, stuff like that. But I'm heading towards grad school.
So grad school, that's to be able to be an art therapist?
Yeah, you at least have to have a master's in order to like practice as a licensed art therapist.
Do you have any idea where you might do art therapy?
I have a list. The school I go to actually has a graduate program that is currently at the top of my list. Not just because I've been there for the last 3 years, but I know the teachers, and it's very, very affordable. The tuition's like $15,000, so like a year. So that's very, very affordable. But so that's at the top of my list for familiarity and the fact that I can afford it.
So that you would continue where you are now?
Most likely, but I'm still researching schools. Every graduate school has different things. So, for example, at LIU Post, they have a more of international approach to art therapy, and that's something I'm geared towards more. So we'll just see how everything plays out.
So do you have any idea of where you would actually practice art therapy once everything's done? Or?
Ideally, I would like to be home. I'm just one of those people that's just tied to home.
So that'd be in Stockton? Or?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, my family's here. I grew up here. I don't really imagine living anywhere else.
So what's available around here? Do you know? Or?
Well, our therapists can work in hospitals, schools. I can have my own private practice if I want to. There's a wide range of places I can work at.
Oh, that's wonderful. Actually, I when I went to San Francisco State and I was finishing my bachelor's, and one course I just happened to take, it was urban studies, and that kind of set me on my path of urban planning, so planning for cities and bringing art into cities. And so I got my master's in that. But right now I want to do have a doctorate, but I just don't know what it would be in. So when you said that you and your mother, you researched, how did you research the degrees?
Just Googling anything, really.
Okay.
From what I remember, it was such a long time ago, but just anything art related. Because there's just the stigma that you're not going to get a job in the art field, and that's not true. So we were looking at different options that I could do, and art therapy just came up. Yeah, so I know it's as simple as it sounds, but it is simple as it sounds.
So Patricia, I was wondering, since you're closely tied with Delta College, could you recommend like maybe some kind of a counselor that could help me decide what kind of degree path I should be on? Or?
I'm not real familiar with the counselors because they've had a lot of turnover since I was at Delta.
Yeah.
I'm more familiar with the English department and the library because that's primarily where I work when I go there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I could not help you in that area. All of my counseling friends there have all retired like me.
So I'll keep looking.
But I don't want to discourage you. I do highly recommend, if you want to further your studies, to go to the counseling department. I believe it's over in Danner Hall, and make an appointment with a counselor, and then they can, get you on a path. Even if you are not quite sure, because I used to work closely with the counselors at Delta, if you're not really sure, you're a little shaky, you know what you like to do, then you just kind of give them an idea of what your interest is, and then they can go from there and tell you what is available in those areas.
Right.
So don't let that discourage you. Seek it out.
Yeah, education is so tricky. When I know when I was going to high school, and I went to a counselor one time, and I didn't have a very good experience. But just to learn how to navigate everything.
Yes. I think that at Delta, my experience at the counselors at Delta previously was that they are very willing to help. You know, they're very energetic, just like the professors there. You know, everyone is like a family. They're on board. We want to get people in a direction that's going to make them feel good. And especially with your community involvement, you know, you already have ties to Delta. And I wouldn't let that hold me back. I
Sure,
would go
Sure.
and find out what direction that you want to go in, especially if it has to do, are you saying you still want to be involved with the urban development, bringing in more art and...
Actually, one direction, I don't know if people get a doctorate in public art. I'm very interested in making public art, displaying public art in cities, you know.
I would believe that that might be umbrellaed under public relations through the arts, you know, and Delta does have a nice art department.
Right.
And so I think that's something you should probably examine. And they do have doctorates in those areas, and it will open doors.
So, Devina, you said that you took just a couple classes at Delta. What were those?
There were just some courses that were to help me take care of some liberal arts and general ed courses at my school. Because it is a liberal arts school, we run on a liberal arts curriculum. So not just our major studies, but as well as like courses that kind of broaden out other studies. So I remember first summer, it was one class, it was Spanish 2. And then the summer after that, I took chemistry and Mexican American history online. And that was about it.
Okay. And also, you've participated in the Art Splash that I run. So.
I'm so excited. How long has it been now? I can't remember. I know I started
this year. It's 8 years.
8 years, and I started my junior year of high school, and that was 2014, 2015. That's when I started, and it's so fun. I love meeting new artists and new people. Not new artists, but artists and new people. Sorry, but. My last experience last month was actually really, really awesome. My work was at the Freckled Moon, and they just opened, right?
Yeah. Just I think about 6 months.
Yeah, I was talking with the owner, and the whole store had it's just a great vibe. It's my kind of vibe. That's probably the only kind of store that you're gonna see in Stockton, and I think that's what makes it awesome because it's so unique.
Yeah.
I think stores like that I would probably have to go into Pittsburgh for, which is like an hour away.
Yeah, we need more stores like the Freckle Moon.
Yes.
Patricia, have you been to the Freckle
No,
Moon?
I haven't. Where is it located?
You have to go to that. It's right on Weber, just a couple doors down from the Casa Flores.
Oh, okay.
And it used to be Tim Ulmer's photography. So, but they have a lot of different... I think consignment art. What do you like about it?
I like that the owner is willing to accept artist work, and my favorite products there are the mother products. There was one that said I forgot what it's called, but it referenced baby wrapping on the bag, and it was kind of like I think it's a gangster rapper, the baby wrap. Oh my god! Like I looked at it, and I was like, oh my god, that's gonna be me as a mom. But just love its vibe, and there's chairs there, so you can just sit and relax. But yeah, and a lot of the sunlight comes in because of the windows. They renovated it really, really well. Yeah. So all the sunlight comes in, so you're able to feel kind of that sense of sunny happiness when you're in the store.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you and Merced and Donna, the other artists, stayed during the Art Splash, and you were able to talk to the people. How many people do you think came in?
It was in and out. I'd probably say maybe 15, around there. Yeah, there was a lot of in and out throughout the 2
Sounds
hours,
good.
but it was, I met some new friends.
And unfortunately, I have some very bad news. I don't know, some people just want to make things tough for other people. But we're no longer going to be able to use the Crest lobby for our venue for the Art Splash. So that's been that was one of the very first venues for the Art Splash, 8 years. And so I got the news about that today. Do you guys have any other ideas where there might be a venue in downtown that might be available
To display
for
art?
artists to come and display? Just it's the second Friday of every month, May through October. We have 6 during the year, so I'm always looking for new venues.
There's I don't know if this is still available, but I had been to a few functions, and some of them were poetry jams.
Uh-huh.
And they were in the old Stockton Hotel that they
right.
renovated for
Yeah,
the
okay.
senior citizen living.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're using it for. But the entire downstairs is like a lobby.
Right.
Then the upstairs was a restaurant. I don't know what they use the rooftop for any longer, but the downstairs would be a perfect place for that kind of lobby because it's open,
Uh-huh.
you know, and it's very aesthetic. It's nice, and it's right downtown where people are familiar, you
Right.
know, being there for different art functions. So that's something you might want to look at.
So actually, Devina, that was one of our best art splashes. That when we did use that as a
You'd use
venue
it,
one
so-
time, at several times.
Do they still have that available? Do you know? Because
I know
I thought that was nice.
Yeah, the Bella Vista restaurant now is only open for private parties or events, and they do use the rooftop. So maybe I could talk to them if we could.
You
know,
could partner something because everyone's going to come out a win-win.
Yeah,
Because if you schedule it when they are open,
Right.
then people can also dine.
Yeah.
You know, and the rooftop's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, that's just a lot of fun.
I would even also argue maybe look into showing work in the Impresso coffee houses, the 2 that have just popped up in downtown. I know maybe look into the cast iron or
Right.
even the maybe the channeling brew because they have that open room next to the brewing
Right.
dining area. So I would look into those places too.
Yeah. What I really liked about the Crest was we probably fit at least a dozen artists in that space. It was just kind of a big open space, but those other are more intimate. So.
I wouldn't look at it as a setback. I would look at it as like, okay, one door closes.
new
and then,
opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, new opportunities to find other businesses to showcase as you showcase other people's art.
Because thinking back over the 8 years, we've had over 30 different venues in downtown. So I guess it's back to the drawing board for me. Go make some new contacts.
I think it's good to keep it downtown because we've been working as a city to revitalize downtown.
Sure.
And I think that if you do kind of do that door knocking
Right.
the old-fashioned way, you know, it's amazing how some of the businesses, they want to be engaged, you know, in community, things like that. It helps. It's a win-win because they're going to get revenue from people using their services, whether it's food or drinks or whatever, and then the artists have a place to showcase as well.
Okay. Well, thanks for the encouragement.
You got this.
So, so, Patricia, are you working on any other projects? Or?
Yes, I work closely with my a lot of my writers on projects. I write a lot of their forewords, and I also write their blurbs for their books, and that is very, very engaging, very exciting. One of the ones that I did locally was for Baron Sedurth, and I have him actually showcased with an author in here. Let me see if I can flip over here
And he did a
see.
book for Tullyburg Press?
Yes, he did, and it's called Lost and Found. It was a really unique book. I had never met him, so I thought I was really honored when Paula Schill called me and said, "Can you do this?"
Oh, wow.
And she digitally emailed me the book. She said it's a quick read. I read it. I fell in love. He used his own artwork. He's a great photographer, and all his haikus were embedded into that artwork. So I wrote the foreword for his book, and that was a really exciting partnership. We had never met. The book was published by Tilburg Press, and then we got to meet when Paula Schill had the fundraiser for The Right Place, and that's when I met him. We were all sat at the same table. It was just really exciting. That's a local writer that I've worked with, but also this was a very exciting work for me. It was from a gentleman, and his name is Ahmad Al-Khattat, and he was originally from Iraq, and his family had to flee because of the wars. They fled to Syria, which was almost as disastrous as staying in Iraq. Eventually, they fled to Canada. So it's a journey, a story, a lot of pain. His poetry reflects those experiences. Well, I met him through his submissions, and he was very easy to talk to, and so we did a collaboration, and I wrote his foreword and his blurb for his book, and his book was called Gas Chambers. And then, and I've also had other authors that I've done the same for. Right now, I'm also excited, more locally in the United States. I'm working with Millard Davis. He's from Florida, Donaldson, Florida, and he's a naturalist and biologist. And I have showcased a lot of his photography and his poetry. He's exceptional. It's like reading Thoreau. I just get so charged up by it because I'm a nature person, so I just love it. He sends me a lot of photographs. So one day, about 3 months ago, I said, "Hey, Miller, what about you doing a project where you embed your photography into a book?" They're from home in Florida, because a lot of the wildlife, it's like he lives right in the thicket of the woods. So he gets to see so much and photograph so much.
Where in Florida?
It's Donaldson, Florida.
Okay.
And so so we talked about the project, and sure enough, he's got it going. He sent me the manuscript the other day. I'm going through it and doing a little bit of editing right now. He's still working on his end because he's finding more things to include, but it's a very exciting project, and he has authored many other books on nature, naturalist biologies throughout the United States. But this one is in his backyard, and that's what's making it so unique.
So how did you two get together?
He had many years ago, I want to say maybe 7, 8 years ago, he had submitted to Poets Espresso Review. I think he found us through our website, and he submitted, and we developed a relationship like that. That is probably one of the most exciting parts of being the editor-in-chief of this magazine. It doesn't matter where our writers live. I really have a relationship with all of them. We call on the phone, we FaceTime, we text back and forth, we email. So I have close contact with all of them. They've gotten to know my life, I know their lives, and it's a very nice connection. It's unique. And that's with all of our writers.
How many would you say you have a connection with? How many writers?
How many writers? I have a connection with all my writers.
but how many writers?
How many writers do we have? I probably have about 125 to 150 writers, and more are coming in.
That's wonderful.
What I finally did, because we all have a little flaw in us, I have a little bit more than everyone else. One of mine is checking my email, and so what I did is I programmed it into my smartphone. So I get their email immediately. I cannot miss anybody's submission anymore because it bings on my hip. I sleep with it next to me because of our writers coming from around the world. They often don't know what my time zone is.
And I finally got your email, so so we have been in contact.
And did you see how quickly I responded to you? Because you binged on my hip.
I swear to God, I tried to find you on Facebook, and there must be like 300 Patricia Mayorgas. I couldn't.
Well, I tried to Facebook you even with that link you sent me, and that wasn't working. So I thought when we finish here, we're going to sit down and get this. We will get it.
totally not judging you on the email thing. I think it's a big problem for everybody, even for me. Yeah.
But the Facebook, we also have a website. And then on Facebook, too, we have two contacts. Donald Anderson, who is my right-hand man. He's my tech person.
I want to ask, I have not seen Donald, I think, since he got married. So what is Donald doing now?
Donald called me up the other morning. He said, because he works and he's married now, and they venture off to different venues because, you know, they're both artists and writers. So they're all over the Bay Area and doing wonderful things as a married couple now, as far as
we need to schedule something with Donald Anderson.
But he called me up and he said, "What are you doing this morning?" It was about 7, and I said, "I don't think I'm doing anything," which was just amazing that I wasn't doing anything. So we met at 10 o'clock over at Impresso at College Square. We were there all day, and we, between him and I, we were able to edit the website, get it updated, and this was dynamite because Donald is so talented. I can work with technology, but not at the levels that he can. And so I had a bright idea for the backdrop of our website to use one of our artists' work. So I got on the phone because I have my artist phone numbers. So I called an artist, Alan Weitzel, who he's here on the front of this magazine, and I said, "Can I have your permission to put these 2 pieces of work into our website?" So he said he was thrilled about it. So he's on our website, and you can see his picture. Donald is so good. He put 2 of the paintings that I had selected. I uploaded them to Donald right then because we were working in the coffee shop with both of our computers and our phones and the whole biz, and got Alan's pictures that I wanted, and then he pulled Alan's picture from profile pictures that I have on file and that Donald has as well, put it in between the 2 pictures, and it's our backdrop, and it is beautiful.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So if you go on the website, you'll see it.
All right, I had a brainstorm right when we were talking here. Would you like to help run a poetry venue for the Art Splash?
Oh, that'd be so awesome.
That'd be fun. You would trust me?
No.
You would trust me with that?
Yes.
Well, I would work closely with others,
Okay.
because I do.
We just need a space, people. Okay.
Yeah, if you get the space, I will help. You know that I'm just coming back out of my mole hole. I was on a 7-year journey, cancer journey. I call it my 7-year storm. And I've just recently, as you know, Joy, been coming out in the community. The nice thing about what I do as an editor-in-chief, I can do it out of home, do it out of the hospital.
Sure.
It keeps my mind off myself. So everyone in Stanford and UCSF knows all about Poets Espresso Review.
So maybe you could send some poets our way that we'd have a venue and they would it would be a place
and
for
artists,
them to
because
perform.
I know a lot of
And
artists.
yes.
I belong to the National League of American Pen Women. It is a national organization for not just writers but artists and composers, women, so that we are represented, our voices heard as playwrights and as musicians and composers and writers and artists. So I do have connections with a lot of women from the art world that I could also bring in.
So that
too.
Those are some people, some untapped resources.
Untapped resources, and we have a lot of them here, and
Yes.
we have them in Modesto and in Manteca, people that I know.
So Devina, now when do you go back to school?
I believe the first day of school is August 26th, I believe. So I should be back in the PA state on the 25th to move back in.
Okay.
So around there.
So you're gonna, you said you were gonna be here for 2 more art splashes. So
Yeah, for sure. I think, I'll be able to be at the August one as well.
okay,
Yeah.
very good. And so would you think you'd like to be back at the Freckled Moon, or would you?
Oh,
like
I would love to be back at the Freckled
Yeah,
Moon. I love that
okay,
place.
Okay.
For sure.
All right, Patricia, you have to go to the Freckle Moon.
Have never been there. Just the
Okay.
title itself
Pretty.
says I must be there.
The owner,
And-
the
and
owner
I-
did such a good job.
I love their whoever did their little stained glass pieces. They have like lotus flowers.
I don't know
and-
what you're talking about.
Did you see those?
Were they? They weren't in my space. Were they? They were somewhere else.
I know that I've seen them there, but they just do some amazing some stained glass work.
I don't think I saw them. I don't think I got
okay,
got a
okay.
chance to.
All right,
go to the
when
space.
you're there, you got to look for them.
Where is it located?
So it's 2 doors east of Casa Flores. It's right on Weber.
Oh, it's right on Weber.
Weber.
Okay.
So it's like right across the street from the new state courthouse.
Oh, okay.
So right there.
I'll have to go.
Yeah, it has a lot of nice little gifts and
Is that where Robert Austin showcases a lot of his work?
I don't think so.
No. Okay.
I know that he spends a lot of time at the Mexican Heritage Center. Have you been there?
I have been there. It's
Okay.
been quite a while.
Okay.
When
Okay.
I was, years ago, I was working collaboratively with Gilbert Olivas.
Yeah.
Do you know him?
Yeah.
So I was working collaboratively with him, and I had written Pelican King, and he had drawn a pencil drawing of a pelican.
Oh, wow.
And both were published works. And then, so they were showcased together at the Mexican American Heritage.
Mexican Heritage Center.
Yeah, at the center. And so it was just really nice. And then the biggest surprise for me was that following that on my birthday, he gave me the drawing.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I gave him the framed poem, and he gave me the artwork.
Do you know Gilbert Devina?
I don't think I do.
He is just
Phenomenal.
so talented.
Sculptor, carver, painter. He's just...
He does everything. He has a totem pole in his backyard. So so many people talk about the totem pole over at Victory Park that they had to take down. I wanted Gilbert to carve a new totem pole.
I think you will. Do you think we can talk him into it?
We need to talk the city into accepting that.
Well, if the city will accept it, he's
City
my
of
friend.
Stockton.
Maybe he will listen to you and myself.
So we got to twist some arms. Let's bring back the totem pole. Do you guys remember? I just saw it on Facebook a couple years ago. Some artists, they made, I don't know if it was out of cardboard or what. Overnight, they installed a totem pole in Victory Park, and it was like made out of I think cardboard painted, and everybody, they were so excited, but it only lasted like a couple days, and the city came and took it down.
Took it. Well, it was such a landmark at Victory Park for so many years. Since I was a young girl, I don't ever remember the park without that totem pole. And there's a lot of funny stories around that totem pole for everyone, I think, in Stockton. I don't remember a tribe decided that they wanted it back.
No,
Or
no.
what happened?
Fortunately, I think it was. I heard that somebody painted it, and it started to rot, and it was kind of a liability that it was going to fall over. So they took it down. But it'd be wonderful if we could get a new one. You know, a carver. I know that they have kind of a totem pole piece over at the fairgrounds. They made out of a tree trunk, and someone did a carving to it. So, you know, I'd love to see it.
Well, maybe that's something that we can all work on and just use our connections with the artists that we know, the sculptors.
Right.
Gilbert is a sculptor,
Right.
you know, and so maybe
And-
he would want to do that.
And actually, Gilbert, the next show at the Mexican Heritage Center, Gilbert is going to have some work in.
Well, maybe
So-
we all just need to show up there.
We need to show up. Mexican Heritage Center. Okay. So, you guys have any? I think it's just about time to wrap up. But any other thing that you'd like to talk about, or?
I kind of wanted to resonate with you Oh my goodness, my throat. Where'd it go? But I'm also part of a literary art magazine back at my college. We're called Eye Contact, and I'm the assistant art editor. And I really like your approach on incorporating both poetry and the art. We do differently. We get an even amount, and we also get a lot of prose pieces or short stories. And when we do get art, we kind of like blow them up to different pages, and sometimes we sit alongside with poetry or prose in case like they match up together, whether it's iconography or stuff like that. But I really like your issue, and I think it's something I want to take points on for our next issue. It's really nice put together. Yeah.
And then you have my contact information because it is here. Every issue, this is one of them. These are all. I brought some of these. Joy, I brought one for you, and here you can have this one as well. And would you like another one? This is one of our past issues.
Sure, yeah.
And so I brought extra, so I'll give you this one as well before I leave. And I don't know, did I give you this one?
No.
But the artwork, as you can see, what we do, and because I have to be cost effective, so the colored artwork goes on the front and back covers and the inside covers. You know, as you can see, so I put the colored there. But I've learned to be really as talented as an amateur that I am with doctoring up and sizing and still not compromising the artist's piece of work. So this one, which was done by Miller Davis, the gentleman in Florida that I'm working with, this was one of his pictures. And so I did it in black and white, and I did not lose the size, and I played with the foreground so that I would be able to still depict his content of his artwork. So I do that as well. But I would be glad to work with you too.
Yeah, we try to try to see if the correct color pieces can be in black and white too because of the cost.
Yeah, so that's what we do. So it just works better on the body because otherwise the cost would be a lot, and I depend on donations. And we do take subscriptions for $15 a year. My husband keeps telling me to put it up to $20 a year, but I just can't because I don't want to discourage people. You know, so I try to keep it as reasonable as possible.
Well, I'm glad I had you both on together, and you guys are able to make contacts with each other in the future. And I really enjoyed hearing what you've been doing, Devina, and what you're doing, Patricia. I think that's all the time we have for today. And I really thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
Thank you for working hard on our community for the arts.
Oh, you're welcome. So